Hello everybody, it's the Base Fight here today. I want to talk a little bit about violence in video games and how the government is trying to make changes to the whole video game thing and possibly add more restrictions and rules to developers to limit violence, because people for some reason feel as though violent video games train children at a young age to grow up and have a violent state of mind and use guns because they already know how to use them because they've been playing Call of Duty. The government's saying stuff like that and people are just pointing fingers. These are the people who do not game themselves. These are the people who do not develop games. These are the people who don't pay attention to the gaming industry. These are random people who say, wow, that video game is quite violent. It is that video game's fault. People die of gun crimes because of that video game. And a recent poll was done by Republican voters, and 800 people, which isn't the biggest number, but to vote on three things, 800 people, it gives you some legitimate statistics in a way. So basically the question was, what do you think is a bigger safety threat in America, guns or violent video games? So for guns, 14% of the voters said guns. Not sure, 19% of them said not sure. And then for video games, 67% of the 800 people said video games are more of a threat to America than guns. I don't really understand that. It's kind of funny, in my opinion, because what they're basically saying is, a video game, a kid sitting at home, an adult sitting at home playing a video game is more of a threat than somebody running down the street with a gun shooting people. That doesn't make any sense. Even then, they're both objects, a video game and a gun. I realize a video game can toy with your mind a little bit. You play Call of Duty, you get so used to playing Call of Duty, and you might think to yourself, hey, Call of Duty, what gun do you like best? You might grow an interest in guns, and supposedly that's making people think that you're learning how to shoot these weapons because you play Call of Duty. Let me tell you something, Call of Duty doesn't teach you how to shoot the weapon. You zoom in, you zoom out of the scope, you fire, you throw a grenade, you throw all this stuff. But if there were a real life grenade, would you know how to use it? If you're a younger kid, would you know how to use that? Is this game training you how to use a grenade? No. You probably pull the pin and you probably blow yourself to little bits because the game doesn't train you to do squat, You call in an airstrike. Are you going to be able to do that in real life? You really know how to do that? Get on the telly and call them up and say, hey, plane, drop a whatever bomb you can make from Lowe's. Pipe bomb, woohoo, or something dumb, Call of Duty doesn't train you to do this stuff. Using a gun, it doesn't train you anything. How do you open up this magazine? You see in Call of Duty they open up the magazine, but it really doesn't show you how to. If you got a gun for the first time in real life and they were like, remove the magazine, replace it with a new clip, would you be able to do it if you didn't have any prior experience to guns? Just the only way you've seen guns so far is from Call of Duty. You probably would not be able to do that. And basically they're saying that this is promoting violence at a younger age, which, they put on age restrictions. You have 17 and up on Call of Duty, where if you go to GameStop, you have to be 17 years old, and they're extremely strict on this. One time I showed up, I'm 17 years old right now. I have been for almost a year now. I'll be 18 this June. I went to go get Black Ops 2, and I did not have my driver's license because I just haven't taken the time to go get it. I'm probably going to get it this summer, but I haven't taken the time to go get it, so I did not have proof of my age. I go into GameStop, they will not let me buy the game. I literally had to call my mom, I didn't make her, but she drove to GameStop. I asked her to drive to GameStop, and she had to walk in and say, he's 17, and they're like, okay, and I got the game. And people don't walk in there with their 8-year-old kids and say, he's 17. Because, of course, nobody's going to believe you. You got a little baby face, you're like 2 feet tall, you're a little kid. Nobody's going to believe you that you're 17. So what do kids do? They go online and they can go to Xbox Live, Marketplace, or Arcade, or whatever it's called, and they can go in there and they can enter a fake date just like quickly. It's easy for them to do that, and then they can download the game off their parents' credit card, or perhaps their parents will buy them this video game, or perhaps their parents already own the video game, and what the government's saying is basically that these kids are playing these video games at a very young age, and they're growing up with the mindsetting of not something related to Pokemon or like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like I grew up to, 90s kid right here, man. I grew up sitting on the curb trading Pokemon cards. I sold like my Pokemon deck like 10 years ago. I'm 17 now. I sold it probably when I was like 7, for like $100, because I swear, man, we used to sit on the curb and we'd sell Pokemon cards. Pokemon was hot. That thing was just out. People were loving it up. That series was just kick-ass before they ruined it, of course. But now I'm 17. I'm kind of grown out of it, obviously. Now I'm back into like the Call of Duty stage and warfare and stuff like that. And for some reason, again, the government thinks that people are being trained to use these weapons, and it promotes violent activity. Now, it's not, Call of Duty's not really the biggest game that they're blaming. I'd say Grand Theft Auto is the biggest game that they're blaming, because, they say, Grand Theft Auto promotes just running up and down the curb and shooting random people. You see, the thing, if anything, you should be worried about in video games is allowing little kids to play video games at a young age. I don't think you should worry about older adults and say that, this video game, a 20-year-old playing this video game is being trained violently within the video game, and he shouldn't be able to own video games, and, la-di-da, la-di-dee. Why? It really doesn't affect anybody. Just because I play Call of Duty doesn't mean that I'm trained to use a gun. It doesn't mean I can go pick up a gun whenever I'm feeling down and just plow down a whole group of people like the government thinks we can do. The majority of people just don't do that. People can go to a violent movie. Are you going to start banning movies too? If you're going to ban video games, you can ban movies too, because there's violent video games that have a story to it. It has all this stuff. It has more motivation in it and stuff like that. Why are these people doing this? Why are people doing that? Why are they defending this person? Why are they shooting this person? Why is this person being killed? In movies, and there's a lot of mental side in movies as well, and that can impact somebody probably far more than a video game can. So why are you attacking video games first? And it's just to point fingers. It's nothing really that serious. It's stupid that the government does this and agencies do this. You can't just blame a random thing, but that's what they do. They just point fingers at the video game industry. There's nothing wrong with the video game industry. I realize that people like violence. We don't want to sit around and play, what if Call of Duty shot Nerf balls rather than actual bullets? Probably the majority of people would just be like, I don't know if I'm gonna play this, because it's not even close to something cool or real. It's just you're shooting little foam balls. It's probably not gonna be as fun. And unfortunately, what's happened is, really, I think the problem is that, again, people just want to point fingers at something, and this time it's the video game industry. But you have to know that gun crimes and violence has been around forever. Video games haven't been around forever. Ever since guns came out, people have been using them for crime and wrong things and taking innocent lives and stuff like that. And I'm not going to get on the gun topic because I got an opinion on that. I might make another video. I don't know. But it's something that opinion does vary on with the gun control. But this is video game control we're talking about. Should Call of Duty be banned in the US because it promotes violence and it trains people supposedly to use guns? No, I don't think so. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. But, again, I think that part of the issue is that there's these kids who are getting a hold of these 17 and up games that, like Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. See, when I was a kid, if I called somebody a bitch, I would take, and this literally happened, my parents would come into my room, they'd take trash bags, and they'd throw everything in the trash bag. They'd leave my mattress, they'd leave my dresser full of clothes. That's all I had. For like 2 weeks, they'd do that just for cussing at somebody or calling a teacher a bitch or something like that. And that way I learned, don't call a teacher a bitch, especially when a little kid. You learn not to say these things. You learn to respect others and stuff like that. But the problem is, little kids are getting on like Call of Duty and stuff, and they're saying, hey, look, I'm behind a gamer tag, nobody's gonna know who I am, hooray. And then they're just going to sit there and they're gonna talk trash and they're gonna talk like all that, and really they're not even supposed to play the game. And I hear a lot about little kids. You know, I literally get into games, and I'm sure you've heard this too, especially if you're an older person, you know, 20 to 40, who knows. You know, if you're not like a kid or a teenager playing Call of Duty, you oftentimes get bitched at because you're an adult playing Call of Duty, although it's an adult game. Anyway, again, I think that the whole government and industry blaming video game violence for crimes and gun crimes, I think it's just something that the Rifle Association likes to point fingers at because they don't want fingers pointed at them. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. This is Basefight. Go ahead and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Comment, like, so on. Thank you for watching.